Hello and good morning. Welcome to another edition of Spiritual Health. As usual, we have Dr. Myers with us. Um, he is going to take us back to the bulletin board with some very cutting edge and interesting information. So, Doc, take it away.
Well, morning listeners, we're going to start today talking about hydrogenated oil, my favorite subject. Um, it's 3 years since the U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced that trans fats, also known as trans fatty acid or partially hydrogenated oils, would be phased out of all manufacturing foods. The final deadline was set for June 18, 2018, at which point food manufacturers would have to find alternative fats for their products.
So that's this year.
This year, and it was last month.
Yeah.
So the 18th of June last month, all firms that manufacture foods in the United States are not allowed to put hydrogenated oil into their food. You know, that tells you something
Yeah.
that we've been saying all along. As I said, I've been preaching it from the time I started the
Yeah.
programs,
Yeah.
that hydrogenated oil is deadly.
Yeah.
It causes diabetes, it causes mostly heart problems with fatty heart, blocks up the arteries and things like that. And, you know, few people smirked.
Yeah.
Now we understand that the actual government has come out and banned it. And it also explains to us why in the last few years there's been a rush to lay down palm oil plantations back into service, because that used to be the main oil for food production before the rise of hydrogenated oils.
Yeah.
And so they're going back to the palm oil. So you have palm oil and then you have coconut oil and then all the others.
This palm oil is the same palms that produce the red palm oil?
That's palm oil.
Yeah?
That's the palm oil.
Okay.
Now it says there was a research in, the interesting thing as this article says is that the people who discovered, its inventors who discovered partially hydrogenated oil, was actually given the Nobel Prize in 1912 for that discovery, not understanding the havoc it was going to reap on the human population. You know, so everybody makes a mistake. So he says the industry-wide adoption of partially hydrogenated oil in cakes, cookies, pies, and pastries contributed to dramatic increases in take, making partially hydrogenated oil the primary dietary source of industrially produced trans fatty acids. Research, however, in early 1900s showed that trans fats were seen to elevate LDL and lower HDL.
Okay.
Now, this goes so far as to say raise the heavy density LDL and lower LDL, lower HDL, but also raise the heavy density HDL, both of which were found to be deleterious to the body. So he says in the 1900s, 1990s, when they did a check, at the time of peak usage, industrially produced trans fats in packaged and restaurant foods were contributing 50,000 early deaths annually. So they'd estimated that since back in the 1990s. That went up dramatically after that. This kicked off a campaign by the Center for Science in Public Interest, right, to implore the FDA to issue a preliminary determination that partially hydrogenated oil should be labeled on the food. So you notice that anything that you bought, it used to say hydrogenated oil or partially hydrogenated oil. Well, they also kicked off a major petition in 2013. So the FDA issued a preliminary determination that partially hydrogenated oil were no longer generally recognized as safe. This is called GRAS, G-R-A-S. Now it's very interesting that we have all this activity going on around hydrogenated oil, and we never hear anything about it in the health circles in Trinidad and Tobago. You would think something that is as important as that, they would have had bulletins out and saying, well, this is what's happening, you know, and also to let the people know who are buying hydrogenated oil, because the companies that sell hydrogenated oil, he hasn't come out and said anything, so I rather suspect they're going to continue selling it. So he says, while they've passed this law stating this, and it's going to make a difference to the manufactured foods. Say, don't make the mistake of thinking that the manufactured foods that they freeze and package is any much healthier. You know, it still has problems with it. So I just thought I'd point that out and point out that, as usual, we here in Trinidad hear absolutely nothing about it. So I have an article here that I thought was very interesting. Lentils, they significantly reduce blood glucose levels.
Lentil peas.
Lentil peas.
Okay.
It says replacing potatoes or rice with pulses can lower your blood glucose level by more than 20%, according to a new study.
Okay.
So it is saying that if you have a sugar of 240 and your lunch consisted of mainly lentils and probably a little fish or a little meat, right, that you can end up with your sugar going down by at least 20% after you finish eating that meal and you start to process it. So he says if you replace rice and pulses, you can lower your blood glucose by more than 20%. So if the meal was going to carry your sugar up to 250, you could take off 50 points. And it will bring it up only to 200. So they're talking about the fact that lentils seems to have the ability to cause the sugar not to go into the bloodstream. So thing. In fact, he says that when they replace potatoes, and that's English potatoes, which is very high in sugar, very high in carbohydrates, you should say, it led to a 35% drop in your sugar reading. Right. So, published and specially featured in the Journal of Nutrition, the study involved 24 healthy adults fed 4 dishes, white rice only, white rice with half large green lentils, half white with small green lentils, and half white with red lentils. This is they measured the glucose levels in participants' blood before they ate and during, 2 hours afterwards. They repeated the process for white potatoes alone and the same combination of potatoes and lentils. We mix the lentils in with the potatoes and rice because people don't typically eat pulses on their own, but rather consume them in combination with other starches as part of a larger meal. The blood glucose fell by similar amounts, with half of the starch was replaced with each of the 3 types of lentil. Blood glucose comprises sugar that is found in blood during digestion in the upper digestive tract and depends on the starch content of foods concerned. Pulses such as lentils can slow the digestion and release of sugars found in starch into the bloodstream, ultimately reducing blood glucose levels. So they give you an idea of what it is causing. The slow absorption means you don't experience a spike in glucose. So it will rise up, but it will rise up slow and level off and come back down. Yes. So he says having high levels over a period of time can lead to mismanagement of blood glucose, which is a hallmark of type 2 diabetes. Essentially, eating lentils can lower that risk. So, all of you diabetics out there, eat more lentils to help bring down your sugar. Thought that was a nice, simple one that you could follow very easily. Found this article interesting because I've had situations like this. People come to me and they say, I feel like if I have insects crawling inside me, so they're scratching and things like that. And you look on their hand, you can't see anything. You might see scratch marks, but you don't see anything like a rash or anything like that most of the time. But they complain that especially when they come out of the bathroom, that you have this massive scratching going on, especially in the afternoon. Well, here they're saying that it is delusional, right? It doesn't happen.
Okay.
The point about it is that if you have a set of people coming in, each with the same complaint, you could say, okay, it's delusional because you can't sense anything else. Or you could say maybe there's a very fine mite or something that gets in there that can't be seen with the naked eye. And so the person has a problem, it's just you can't see it. So what I did is I used colloidal silver in a spray bottle and just let them spray it on in the evening when they come home. So you put it in a little perfume spray bottle.
Yeah, and that has,
Spray it
that
on.
has antimicrobial properties.
Yes. So what tends to happen is that after 15 or 20 minutes, the scratching stops.
Okay.
You do it for a few days or a week, 2 weeks, according to how bad it is,
And it goes
and it goes away.
Yeah.
So obviously there's something there, but just that. But I was surprised to see an article coming out about it from out of the United States, and they call it delusional parasitosis, right? But as far as I'm concerned, it's probably not an illusion because
Yeah.
the
Colloidal
colloidal silver appears to work
Yeah.
all the time, you know.
It's a microbe.
So it appears to be a microbe. Our innate immune system. So it says that our intestinal microbiome influences metabolism through the immune system. It says research tells us that commensal or good bacteria that inhabit our intestines help to regulate our metabolism. A new study in fruit flies published on June the 21st in Cell Metabolism shows one surprising way they do this. So they checked on Paula Watnick, MD, PhD of the Division of Infectious Diseases at Boston Children's Hospital, revealed the innate immune pathways best known as our first line of defense against bacterial infection. Have a side job that is equally important. In the intestine, the digestive cells use an innate immune pathway to respond to harmful bacteria. But the other intestinal cells, enteroendocrine, use the same pathway known as the IMD to respond to good bacteria by fine-tuning body metabolism to diet and intestinal conditions. The innate immune pathway aren't just for innate immunity. Innate immunity also listens to good bacteria and responds metabolically. So what you're saying is that the other finding out is that the bacteria that is in the gut, the probiotics, not only does it help to digest your food and produce vitamin B's and things like that, it also has a song and dance going on with the immune system where it communicates and helps. So sometimes you could get a flock of bacteria from the gut going into the body to help the body get rid of something, and then when it's finished, going back out to the gut.
Okay.
Which makes it really, really interesting.
That's kind of like a special forces calling to deal with a bacteria.
That's a nice way of putting it, yes. Right. So he says they haven't done it on human beings yet or on big animals. They were doing it with the fruit fly. But he says the fruit fly has a very similar metabolism to us, and you could almost say, hey,
Yeah.
this is what you're going to find when you do the local. So just thought I'd mention that. I came up with another good article here. Let me dig it out. Herbs effective in sickle cell anemia. I always knew that from listening in that in Africa there were formulas that in some cases cured sickle cell anemia, and in other cases alleviated. Well, the herbs that do that, by and large, native to Africa. Yeah, Piper Guinea seed, West African pepper or Guinea pepper, a relative of the Ayurvedic long pepper, and is used to make black pepper. Right. That is one of the main ones. You have Petocarpus ossoon stem, an African timber with many relatives. Eugenia caryophyllus, known as cloves. So you use cloves. Also a grass known as sorghum, which has little seeds on it. Just take the seeds and cook it. The active constituents of Niprosan or Nicosan herbs include piperine, chavicine, capsaicin, and cubibin. So they mix them together and they use them. So, we're going to be pursuing that, how to get some of that, and if we'll get seeds and probably plant them or something like that. But one of the things that I found is that there is a simple remedy for alleviating the situation, right? Other promising sickle cell treatments include the green fruit or leaf of the carica papapa, which is papaya, right? So he says you take the
fruit or the
the green leaves or the fruit, and you squeeze, you crush it up and you squeeze it out, right? You juice it. And you take that juice and you leave it to ferment for 5 days. Put it in a little jar, put it on the thing, and let it, as you'd say, go bad. You know, let it ferment. See it bubbling up and things like that. And he says that after 5 days of fermentation, you could take, you know, a teaspoon of it 2 or 3 times a day, and it would give you 87 to 74% reversal. So going down, shutting down, shutting down the pain and all things. You could also use a little garlic.
Okay.
Right, mentioned in the research as a possible sickle cell treatment, along with pigeon peas.
Okay.
So the pigeon pea seed, I suppose you could put them all together and just ferment them, and then proceed to take small doses all during the day. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Okay.
We're going to be pursuing the herbs necessary for producing stuff to fix the sickle cell problem. All right. So I just thought I'd mention that. So we put a little hope up. You could use the papaya leaf, squeeze it out, make a nice little set, you know, little bottle.
But we find that this papaya leaf extract have a lot of uses.
Yes, it was very good for dengue and chickpea and things like that. But one of the things that it does is that it raises the blood count very quickly,
So basically,
within the space of a few days.
so anything with that, any condition that
That-
lowers
yeah.
your blood count.
Yes.
That would be
You
beneficial.
know,
yeah.
over the years I've seen that work really nice. So you take a younger leaf, not a hard leaf, and you pong it and you squeeze out the juice. And in this case, for the sickle cell, you leave it to ferment. So you have a little jar, and you leave it on the counter to ferment, which means you could cover it, but you can't close it down tight, otherwise you'll blow up the bottle. And that would be a good thing to use. So you just take a couple teaspoonfuls every day, and that would inhibit the progress of the sickle cell. And if you're in pain, it would tend to reduce it. You know, it doesn't cure it, but it will reverse it back towards where it come from. The 17 health benefits of cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is very, very important in medicine. You know, for all its many uses. Powerful compound with many uses. So it says perfect for cleansing and detoxifying. It's good for ailments such as heartburn, delirium, tremors, gout, paralysis, fever, dyspepsia, atonic dyspepsia, flatulence, sore throat, hemorrhoids, menorrhagia in women.
So all of these things are blood related.
So yeah, it has anti-irritant properties. The ability to ease upset stomach, ulcers, sore throat, spasmodic and irritating coughs and diarrhea. Right? So it has the property to ease diarrhea, and also to, you know, you go and eat something and it upsets your stomach, you could get yourself a little.
Right, so it's good for the digestion.
Yes, it's good for the digestion. It also clears congestion, suffering from stuffed up sinuses due to cold, flu, or allergy. Cayenne pepper aids in breaking up or moving the congested mucus. You take a little bit and put it on your tongue, or you mix it in food or something and you eat it. That will help. Antifungal properties. In vitro tests have found that CAY1, a compound in cayenne peppers, effectively suppressed the development of 16 different fungal strains while remaining completely non-toxic to the animal cells. It also, you can try it for migraine headaches because the fact that it opens the circulation, especially in the head.
Okay.
This may be related to the pepper's ability to stimulate a pain response in a different area of the body, thus diverting the brain's attention to the new site. Following that initial pain reaction, the nerve fibers have a depleted substance P, the nerve pain chemical, and the perception of pain is lessened by 6 anti-redness properties. It stimulates the digestive tract, increasing the flow of enzymes production and gastric juices. This aids the body's ability to metabolize food. Cayenne pepper is also helpful for relieving intestinal gas, so it's very good for bloating.
Right.
It stimulates intestinal peristaltic motion, aids in both assimilation and elimination. Some people have what you call lazy bowels.
Yeah.
The peristalsis doesn't work too good to move the stool along. A little bit of cayenne pepper every day will help to improve that. Anti-redness properties, cayenne pepper properties make it a great herb for many chronic and degenerative conditions. Helps produce saliva, stimulates the production of saliva, an important component in digestion and maintaining optimal oral health. Useful for blood clots. Cayenne pepper helps reduce arterial sclerosis, encourages fibrinolytic activity, and prevents factors that lead to the formation of blood clots, all of which can help reduce the chances of a heart attack or stroke. A detox support. Cayenne pepper is known as a circulatory stimulant. It increases the pulse of our lymphatic and digestive systems. By heating the body, the natural process of detoxification is streamlined. And the natural process of that is also can be measured. Cayenne is also induces sweating, another important process of detoxification, combined with lemon juice and honey. We always talked about lemon juice and what it's capable of doing. Cayenne tea is an excellent morning beverage for total body detox. 7-day oxygen colon cleanse. Yeah, that is where we pulled it off.
This is cayenne pepper tea in the morning. Will that burn?
Not if you mix it properly. If you put too much, you'll get burnt. But if you put it just the right amount,
Just like
you'll get the benefits. Yes,
Okay.
I would say a quarter teaspoon or something like that. Sprinkle it into your food. You could do that too. Joint pain relief, extremely high in capsaicin. Cayenne pepper sends chemical message through the skin into the joint, offering relief from joint pains. Antibacterial properties, offering relief from joint pain. Cayenne is an excellent preservative and has been used traditionally to prevent food contamination from bacteria. Helps to promote longevity. They found data from 500,000 people who eat spicy foods have a 14% chance of living longer than those who don't. Regular consumption of chili peppers aligned with reduced rates of death from respiratory disease, heart problems, and cancer. Supports weight loss. Those who took cayenne pepper for breakfast were found to have less appetite, leading to less caloric intake during the day. In other words, if you put cayenne pepper in your fried eggs in the morning, it would cause you to not crave so much food at lunchtime.
All right. But a lot of people don't have this tolerance for the heat of the pepper.
Yeah, they might have a point there.
How is there any way to get around that? Say to consume the cayenne pepper.
Well, you're not asking the person to consume a terrific amount of cayenne pepper, Cayenne pepper by itself is not hot. It's like black pepper,
Okay.
literally,
So you could use the powdered one.
Here's the powdered one we're talking about.
Right, and like if you sprinkle.
Just sprinkle a little bit on the food,
All right. Okay. Because when you hear pepper, you usually think fire. Yeah.
Remedy for toothache. When applied directly to the site, cayenne pepper may help to ease the pain of a sore tooth. What else eases the pain of a sore tooth?
Garlic. No?
Not quite. No. Really good. Really, really good. Clove oil.
Clove. Right.
If you
Clove oil and a little cayenne pepper powder in there. And
put a blind pepper. Just take the clove oil and put it on a little piece of cotton
Yeah.
and pack the tooth with it. And within the space of about 15 minutes, the pain shuts down.
Okay.
Unless it's really intense, when it take a little longer.
Yeah.
But it will numb the tooth and keep it numb for quite a long time. Until you get up in the morning and, drag yourself over to the dentist. As a topical remedy, it is used for snake bites, rheumatism, sores, wounds, lumbago. Right. It has never been categorized for effectiveness. They just know that it's good for these things.
Okay. It's kind of like now.
So if you have a salve that you use to put on, say, a joint when it hurts you, you could add to the effectiveness of this by sprinkling some cayenne in there and putting it on. When you put it on, it will heat the area up.
But most of those pain plasters
Yes, a lot of them have cayenne pepper in them. Yes. It's just cayenne pepper tastes great. Well, that's subject to people who like cayenne pepper or people
No,
who don't.
I eat a lot of pepper, but I'm concerned for those who don't.
I try to tell the audience you're hot.
I'm trying to tell them.
You try to.